With the NBA Finals being right around the corner, and this being one of the closest contested final matchups that I could ever remember, I thought it'd be a pretty good idea to give you my top 10 best players of these NBA Finals, ranking from 1 to 10. Now, this isn't going to be unless projecting on just skill, accomplishments. This is going to be a top 10 all impacted by primarily one key category, and that's impact on winning. Your stats, of course, are going to be brought up. Your accolades, your talent level, all those factors are going to be key as far as these NBA Finals are going to go. But in terms of who do I trust more in a playoff setting, this is where this top 10 is going to get into. First of all, please be sure to like and subscribe to CJ Talk Sports, and let's get it going. Coming in at number one is no doubt about it, Luka Doncic. Coming into these playoffs, I thought and still believe that the best player in the world argument really kind of falls into three different players: Luka, Giannis, and Jokic. Not necessarily in that order, but those are the three primarily best player in the league discussions. Now, while obviously, you're going to have some Celtics fans that are going to try to convince themselves that Tatum is the best player because of his two-way ability. My ideal when it comes to ranking a player or saying who's better, who would I rather build around, to me, if your offensive impact is significantly more than another player's two-way ability, then even if you're considered a liability on a defensive end, which Luka is not, then you're still, to me, a more impactful player, just because, again, offense is more impactful than defense, especially in today's NBA. So coming in at number one, it's no doubt about it, Luka's the best player in the series, and you can make a strong argument, especially if they win a title, that Luka is the best player in the league. Coming in at number two, 1A, 1B in terms of who my favorite player in the league is, Jayson Tatum. I think Jayson Tatum is without a doubt the best two-way wing in all of basketball. I love Ant-Man. I love SGA. Anthony Davis is obviously not a wing. He's a big. But I think you could still make a strong argument that Jayson Tatum is the best two-way player in basketball. His scoring efficiency hasn't been great throughout these playoffs, but I've seen time and time again Jayson Tatum thoroughly outplay a team's number one option. I've seen it with Kevin Durant. I've seen it with Joel Embiid. I've seen it with Jimmy Butler. The only other superstar that I've seen outplay Tatum on a consistent basis is LeBron and Steph, who, without a doubt, are two of the, at worst, 15 greatest players in NBA history. And so, Tatum, I feel as though, is somewhat underrated because he, for good reason, isn't in the best player in the league conversations. But I also feel as though every time a young player or a young superstar emerges into an elite superstar, it's always, oh, he's better than Jayson Tatum. I'm like, can we pump the brakes a little bit? I mean, are we going to sit here and act like Jayson Tatum hasn't been the best player on numerous Eastern Conference Finals appearances? Are we going to ignore the fact that he thoroughly outplayed Kevin Durant on both ends? Are we going to forget about the fact that he had one of the most clutch on the road Game 6 performances in NBA playoff history? I don't know. Like I said, I don't consider Jayson Tatum to be a top 3 or a top 4 contender, but do I think you're crazy if you have him in your top 5? No. Um, I kind of look at it as a point where to me, there's only been one superstar, or really one young player, who I think has surpassed Tatum in terms of talent and impact, but still within SGA, but still that's at least a debate, that's at least an argument. Neither one of those two are in the best player in the world conversations, and yet they are both numerous all NBA caliber performers. So who do you favor just comes down to, do you prefer a versatile two-way wing, or do you prefer more of a complete offensive engine in an SGA? I think it's close, but it's not close as far as, outside of Luka, Jayson Tatum is by far and away the best player in the series. Coming in at number 3 is a player that I've turned a new leaf over. I, at one point, was one of, if not his biggest critics. I thought he was incredibly overrated, and to a degree I still kind of do. But he's having the best run of his NBA career, in my opinion. Kyrie Irving. The talent speaks for itself. Kyrie is one of the most unbelievable one-on-one basketball players I've ever witnessed, and in terms of his impact on winning, it's been substantial throughout these playoffs. He's been hands down the best Robin, the best second option that Luka could ever ask for. He's been clutch when it matters most. He's provided great leadership and stability in terms of what this Dallas Mavericks team needs from a playmaking and even from a defensive point of attack level. Kyrie's been unbelievable. And the thing that I love most about his maturation over the last few years is that he's not letting the controversy, the sort of the antics from the outside world affect his play. Whereas in previous years, I felt as though Kyrie, not that he let the criticisms get to him, but it was more palpable. It was more of a discussion, just more so than his actual talent. And I think since getting to Dallas, since leaving Brooklyn, he's had the right training, he's had the right mindset. He's brought stability and leadership qualities that I had never seen from him throughout early in his career. And again, just being the most dominant, or one of the most dominant one-on-one players of my lifetime. I got to give Kyrie massive credit. How do we go from him being unwanted by 90% of GMs and teams to now being arguably the best second option of the last 30 years? Take away guys like Kobe and Dwayne Wade, who Dwayne Wade started his career being the number one option, but then obviously ended his career. Kobe, it was reversed. But in terms of just pure talent and willingness to be the second option, Kyrie may be the best that of my lifetime. And again, 2 years ago or a year and a half ago, he was on the NBA blacklist. And so, again, shout out to Kyrie. Number 4, I got Jaylen Brown. Underrated as a defender. Underrated in terms of his ability as a scorer. Gets downhill. His 3-ball has been fairly efficient. He's playing the best defense of his career. Jaylen Brown has been awesome. And this time last year, I was all but ready to pack him up and move him for ancillary parts, for role players and, rookies with a high upside. Now, the Celtics team, as great as Jayson Tatum has been, they will not be here if it wasn't for Jaylen Brown. Again, attacking downhill, his playmaking has gotten a bit better. He finally worked on that left. Listen, while I still think both Jaylen and Kyrie could be overrated to a certain degree, the fact that we're still having conversations about who's the best player on the Celtics is nauseating, if you ask me. But Jalen, he at worst is a bona fide all-star caliber player and a borderline all-NBA caliber defender player. He's a hell of a defender. He gets downhill. He's pretty darn clutch. And outside of Kyrie, I don't think you could really have a better second option than Jaylen Brown. Coming in at number 5, and again, this is why I value impact rather than just statistical dominance. I'm going to put Derek White over here. My favorite role player in the NBA, bar none. To a certain degree, Derek White might be my favorite player in terms of his overall value. He's arguably the best point of attack defender. He's hands down the best shot blocking guard. He can anchor a defense. He hits his 3-ball on a fairly efficient level. There's really almost no weaknesses from Derek Brown from a production level. Again, out being a Knicks fan / Celtics fan, I'm a bit biased in terms of who do I think is better between OG or Derek White. But again, factoring injury, Derek White might be just my favorite player in the league because of what he provides from a 9 and 9 out basis. Best defensive guard in the league, in my opinion. 20-point level scorer on any given night. Gives you, again, the defense, the 3-ball is all there. And he's a solid playmaker when he is asked to initiate the offense. Number 5, next. So let's run it back real quick. Jrue Holiday. Jrue Holiday to me has been everything that I could ask for as a Celtics fan and much more. This time a year ago, I was beyond devastated when we lost Marcus. He was the guy that kind of brought me back into being a Celtics fan. I just loved his heart, his tenacity. He's a decent 3-point shooter, but Marcus Smart just made winning plays whenever I watched him. Sometimes he could also make me pull my hair out, but 90% of the times, Marcus Smart just defined winning when it came to the Celtics. And then we traded him, and listen, Porzingis is clearly the better player. He's a far more impactful player, but still, it's like you're missing that true leadership, a spark at the point guard position. You're gonna miss his defense, even though Derek White is better than him at all points, but you still need another piece. Tatum, Brown, and White. And even Porzingis, who's injury prone, is not going to be enough. You need that one last missing piece. You need that one last, to use a comic book reference, you need that one last Infinity Stone to complete the gauntlet. And then lo and behold, here comes Jrue Holiday now available. The minute that Dame trade went down, forget Dame, go get Jrue Holiday. And he's been everything I could have asked for as a Celtics fan and more. The 3-ball is there. The defense is still at a ridiculous level. The rebound and the playmaking. Everything that I've wanted out of a Celtics point guard, Jrue Holiday now delivers on. And his ability to switch and guard bigger players, having him as a floor general to complement Tatum and Brown. If it wasn't for Derek White, Jrue Holiday might be my favorite player on the Celtics. No disrespect. And so, Jrue Holiday, to me, he's my ultimate X factor because he's probably going to get the Kyrie matchup. He's probably going to be switched up on Luka Doncic a lot. And the Celtics are pretty much unbeatable whenever either him or Derek White are hitting their threes. So if Tatum and Brown are consistent and clutch, and Jrue Holiday just delivers defensively and hitting his 3-ball, Celtics are going to win the title. And that then provides with my biggest X factor as far as the series, and that is Derek Lively, who's coming in at number 6. Derek Lively is just a beast on the defensive end. He's a shot blocking menace. He could switch on guards and perimeter players. He's ridiculous as a lob threat. That's the thing that I'm mostly worried about guarding Dallas. Luka and Kyrie are going to get their buckets regardless. But if you do not contain Derek Lively on those lob threads, if you keep allowing Luka to get either, whether it be Drew, Derek White, or honestly, I think, or Jaylen Brown, if Luka gets any one of those guys on his back pocket, it's going to be a long, alligated series as I predicted it'll be. And so, Drew Holiday Derek Lively to me is the biggest factor as far as how the Celtics match up against Dallas, because that vertical threat between Luka, Kyrie, and Derek Lively, it's unmatched. It's very much Lob City-esque. And with Luka and Kyrie scoring gravity, and Luka from a playmaking aspect, yeah, Derek Lively, major problems that kid is. Then coming up next, it's my boy, former Knick, current Celtic, the guy that I believe was the missing piece in putting the Celtics over the top because of him too, as a lob threat, as a pick and roll, pick and pop option, and as a big that could punish matchups down low. I love Al Horford, but you cannot expect Al Horford at 38 years old now. Happy belated birthday, Big Al. You cannot expect him to keep trying to punish these young, athletic, big men on a regular basis. Al is at his best when he's hitting shots from the perimeter, spreading the floor with his 3-ball ability, and Porzingis could be that matchup nightmare. You put a guard on him or a small perimeter player on him, he could beat him up down low. And listen, Chet is obviously capable of doing a lot of things that Porzingis is capable of, but Porzingis just does it at a more impactful level. He's a better 3-point shooter. Shot blocking is nearly identical, and he's just more physical as a low post defender. As a low post scorer. And so, Porzingis, glad to have him back. Hopefully we could get 80% of what he was in the regular season. And Derek Lively and Porzingis, whoever wins that matchup, to me, that's going to decide who's going to win this series. If Lively outperforms him like he did with Chet, I got Dallas winning this series in 6 or 7 games. But if Porzingis if KP could be at the same level of what Derek Lively is going to be, then I like the Celtics. Then I like the Celtics to win in 6 or 7. So, Celtics. Oh, don't want to get into that prediction yet. But Porzingis, from an all-year talent in terms of impact, much like Drew, he's been exactly what we've hoped for. Coming in at number 8, as a Tatum / Celtics fan, this is the matchup that I have the most fearful of, and that's PJ Washington. These big, strong, athletic defenders, those are the type of defenders that really throws Boston off for a loop. I've seen it firsthand in the NBA Finals, and I saw it throughout our matchups against Denver. You put a big, strong, athletic wing on Jason Tatum, and you can neutralize him, if not take him away from the game. PJ Washington, much like the Porzingis and Drew Holiday trade, has been exactly what Dallas have needed from the minute go. The 3-ball, the ability to defend 1 through 5, essentially, the athleticism. And he's been the quintessential role player. He was exactly what they wanted out of Grant Williams. Undersized big, can hit the 3-ball, defend on the perimeter, block shots to a degree, and just play your role and not be a malcontent. And so, outside of Dereck Lively, if you were to ask me what's the one matchup that I am terrified of, is Tatum going to live up to, is Tatum going to play at a high level knowing the type of matchup that he's gonna have to face? People are going to bring up Andrew Wiggins in the finals, Eastern Conference Finals, last 2 years against Miami. You had PJ Tucker on one hand, tough, rough, physical defender. That gave Jason Tatum problems. And then last year, you let Caleb Martin outplay you. These long, athletic, physical wings, if you have a pair of those, that is your bet. That is essentially the kryptonite of the Celtics team, because everything runs through Tatum and Brown. If you have the wings that can match up against them, that's your key of neutralizing them. And so, PJ Washington, he's probably going to get the matchup against Jason Tatum. And Tatum does not have to be Luka level great, but if Tatum performs the way I suspect him to be, 25, 8, and 5, like I said, that's going to be the key matchup in terms of how is Dallas going to match up against Tatum and Brown, and Porzingis for that matter, because he's big and strong enough from the lower waist to defend a center like Porzingis. And then, of course, you got number 9, my guy, not PJ Washington, Derrick Jones. Similar build, but Derrick Jones provides you more length, athleticism, just annoyance. Derrick Jones and PJ Washington are the perfect wing dynamic for Luka and Kyrie. They just are. And the thing that impresses me most about them, as well as all of these role players, is that they don't do more than what they're expected to. Both of these guys are versatile, long wing defenders. And they're both capable of dominating a game just with their 3-ball efficiency. And so, the Celtics, I think, are favored because of their talent at the top. But Dallas, I think, where their advantages lie is A, having the best player, and B, having the superior depth. PJ Washington, Derrick Jones, I feel as though I know what I'm going to get from them. But with Dereck Lively, I don't know. And Porzingis as an X factor. And then last but not least is the after the trade deadline, getting another big physical lob threat in Daniel Gafford to pair with Luka and Kyrie. Lively, to me, is just better because of his ability to switch and be a better playmaker. But Dereck Lively gives you 90% of what... Daniel Gafford gives you 90% of what Dereck Lively gives you, and is a much more physical defender. So, Dallas advantages. Again, they got the best player, they got the better backcourt, and they got more depth. To me, in terms of bench and role players production. But in terms of the Celtics, they have the more organic team that fits perfectly together. And with that all being said, how do I see this matchup going? Both of these teams are better on the road than they are at home. Boston has been better at home throughout these playoffs, but again, look at their competition. Dallas is red hot, but they've yet to face a team that's as good as the Celtics. The Celtics, to me, have more to prove, have more on the line. But I also think Luka and Kyrie, they don't scare me. They terrify me in the clutch, which is where Boston's, I guess you could say, biggest weakness truly lies. So I have this as a back and forth series. I am, unlike 90% of America, I am wholeheartedly rooting for the Celtics, but it will not surprise me at all if Dallas wins. So I'm going with Celtics in 7. I think Tatum and Brown, for the most part, will outplay Luka and Kyrie. Not because I think we're going to have much of a way of neutralizing both of them. I just think Boston has more favorable matchups against Dallas than Dallas does against us. Like I said, the lob threat and their ability to hit their open shots does scare me, but Boston does the same thing too. And in fact, Boston just does what Dallas does more efficiently, and it just produces more. Luka and Kyrie are going to hit you with the lob threat, while the Celtics are going to be able to live on open 3-point shots. And we have better shooters than any other team that Dallas has faced. Plus having home court advantage, having a lot to prove. I got Celtics in 7. But that's going to do it all here, folks. Again, please be sure to like, comment, subscribe down below. And I'll catch you guys next time. Peace.